I thought she was just stressed from work, until I saw her kissing the gardener in our backyard, with my own eyes. This is where everything began, though I never imagined I'd be sitting here telling a story like this. My name's David. I'm 36 and I've been married to Emily for 10 years now. Like most couples, we've had our share of ups and downs, but I always thought we were on solid ground. Well, she's a strong personality. The kind of woman who knows exactly what she wants and doesn't take nonsense from anyone. Some folks might call her a little cold or tough, but I respected that about her. She wasn't afraid to stand her ground, and for a long time, I believed we made a great team. But Emily's always been a bit of a mystery. She has this habit of holding her cards close, keeping things to herself in a way that used to feel intriguing, like she was 10 steps ahead of everyone else. I used to admire that. I thought it made her clever. But looking back, I guess it's easier to hide things when you've already mastered the art of keeping secrets. We've got a cozy house with a backyard garden, nothing extravagant, but it's ours. I've spent years working construction, pouring everything into making that place the home Emily always dreamed about. She used to talk about having a quiet garden where she could unwind. So, eventually we brought in a gardener to help bring that vision to life, a young guy named Tyler. Fit, friendly, always out there with his hands in the soil, keeping everything pristine. Now the weird thing is, Emily never really liked gardening before. But out of nowhere, she's suddenly out there all the time, chatting with Tyler about perennials and mulch like she's hosting a home makeover show. I didn't think much of it at first. She said it helped her decompress after work. She's a lawyer, her job can be intense, so I figured, hey, if flowers help her relax, who am I to judge? But after a while, little things started adding up. You know that gut feeling you get when something just doesn't feel right but you can't quite explain why? That's where I was. She was staying late at the office more often, always with some new urgent case. Her phone never left her hand and she'd get these late-night texts that made her grin like a teenager. And the time in the garden? It was getting out of hand. At the time, I convinced myself I was being paranoid. I tried to let it go. I told myself she was just stressed, that she needed space. If texting her friends or hanging out by the lavender bushes helped her unwind, fine. But the more I looked the other way, the harder it became to ignore the obvious. One Saturday, I was mowing the lawn when I spotted Tyler again. Normally he stopped by once a week, but recently it felt like he was always there. Every time I turned around, there he was, snipping bushes or adjusting the sprinklers, coincidentally always when Emily was home. I walked over and struck up a casual chat. Hey man, the yard's looking great. But seems like you're here a lot more lately. Emily mentioned you've been stopping by pretty often. He gave me this relaxed smile and said, she asked me to take on some extra stuff, said she wanted the place to feel more like her sanctuary. I smiled and nodded, but something twisted in my stomach. Emily had never cared much about the backyard before. Why the sudden interest? That night, while we were lounging on the couch with some mindless reality show playing, I brought it up gently. Hey, about Tyler. He said you've been having him do extra work in the yard? Without even looking away from the TV, she said, yeah, figured it could use a little upgrade. The garden calms me down. There it was again, calms me. Right? I said, trying not to sound accusatory. Just seems like he's around a lot more than before. Didn't know you were getting into gardening now. She finally turned to me and I could feel the temperature in the room shift. What are you saying, David? That it's a problem I want our yard to look decent? Is it wrong to want to take care of our home? Just like that, I felt like the bad guy. Emily had this way of twisting a conversation until I ended up questioning my own thoughts. So I let it go. I felt foolish for even mentioning it. But inside, I knew something wasn't right. A few nights later, while we were getting ready for bed, her phone buzzed. It was on her nightstand. She picked it up fast like she always did. But this time she smiled. Not a big grin, just a small, quiet one. But I saw it. Who's texting you this late? I asked, trying to keep my voice light. She glanced at me and said, just work stuff, like it was no big deal. But that smile stuck with me. It was the kind of smile you don't give for emails about court dates or legal briefs. I didn't have proof. Not yet. But every part of me knew something was going on. So I started paying closer attention. Things between Emily and me started to feel different. You know that weird tension you can't quite explain, like when you walk into a room and it just feels heavier somehow. That was the new normal for us. Conversations started feeling strained, like we were walking on eggshells around each other. Every time I asked about her long nights at work or mentioned how often Tyler was around, she'd either get snappy or wave it off like it wasn't worth discussing. That's when I started paying closer attention. Not in any obvious way, I didn't want to come across like I was losing it, but just noticing the small things. Her mood when she got home, the way her eyes lit up when her phone buzzed late at night, the way she seemed overly interested in what Tyler was doing out in the yard. And every time there was this undercurrent. Like something wasn't sitting right. Then came that Saturday morning. Emily mentioned she was meeting some coworkers for brunch. Now, on the surface that wasn't anything unusual. But this time something about her energy felt off. She wasn't rushing out with her hair in a ponytail and a travel mug of coffee like she usually did. No, this time she took her time getting ready. Her makeup was flawless, her hair done like she was going out for a romantic dinner, not eggs and coffee. And the dress she wore? One she usually only brought out for our anniversaries or big events. I tried to play it cool. Who's brunch with again? She didn't even glance up. Just a few of the girls from the office, she said, slipping into her heels. Why? I chuckled, trying to keep it light. You look like you're going on a date, not just brunch. That got me the classic Emily look. Like I'd just asked the dumbest question in the world. Seriously, David? I felt like dressing up. You never say a word when I'm wearing old sweats. That shut me down. I didn't want to start something over what might have been nothing. But deep down it didn't feel like nothing. After she left, the doubt started gnawing at me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. So yeah, I did something I'm not exactly proud of. I opened up her laptop. I know, it's a huge invasion of privacy. But I needed answers. I needed to know whether I was imagining things or if there really was something going on behind my back. Most of what I saw looked normal, work emails, spam, the usual clutter. But then I found some recently deleted messages. They were sent to some strange email address, just a jumble of numbers and letters. One subject line caught my eye, this weekend. I clicked. And that was it. A message from Emily, talking about meeting at our usual place, and how she was looking forward to seeing him again. Nothing outright explicit, but it didn't have to be. I could read between the lines just fine. I didn't know if it was Tyler or someone else. But at that point it didn't really matter. She was keeping something from me. This wasn't just some harmless texting or garden chat. Still, I didn't say anything, not right away. I don't even fully understand why. Maybe I wanted to catch her in the act. Maybe I wanted her to admit it. Or maybe I just wasn't ready to face it yet. So I acted like nothing had changed. But inside, everything had. Every smile she gave me felt rehearsed. Every time her hand touched mine, it felt like a stranger's. And yet I said nothing. I wasn't ready to confront her without something undeniable. And during that time she only grew more distant. More meetings, more afternoons in the garden. That garden? God, I started to hate that place. It used to be our little dream project. Now it felt like a symbol of everything slipping away. As for Tyler, he was no longer just the guy keeping the lawn neat. He'd look at Emily when he thought I wasn't paying attention. These little smirks, quiet exchanges, it was like there was a private joke I wasn't in on. Then one afternoon I got off work earlier than usual. I thought maybe we could have lunch together or just hang out like old times. But when I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Tyler's truck out front. Nothing unusual about that, except the house was silent. No music, no noise. Just still. I went around back and there they were. Sitting together on the garden bench, talking low, their heads almost touching. Too close. Way too close. The second Emily saw me, she jumped up with this overly bright smile. Oh, you're home early. Yeah, I said, trying to sound relaxed. Thought I'd surprise you. Tyler stood too, rubbing his palms together awkwardly. Just finishing up, he mumbled, eyes darting away from mine. I'll get out of your way. He packed up quickly and headed toward the gate. I watched him nod at Emily before disappearing down the path. When she turned back to me, I finally asked the question that had been building up for weeks. What's going on between you two? Her expression hardened the second I said it, like she'd had enough of me asking. Nothing's going on, David, she snapped. I've already told you, he's just helping with the garden. Helping a whole lot lately, I murmured, more to myself than to her. That set her off. She tossed her hands in the air, frustration pouring out of her. What is wrong with you? Are you actually jealous of Tyler? Seriously? He's our gardener. Everything inside me screamed. I wanted to lay the emails out on the table, to make her face the truth she was trying so hard to bury. But I didn't. I held back. Something in me told me the timing still wasn't right. I didn't have enough yet. Just forget it, I said instead. It's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. Not to me. Things kept spiraling from there. The tension in the house was thick enough to choke on. I started picking up extra shifts, staying out later just to avoid the weight of pretending everything was okay. And every time I came home and saw her outside with Tyler, It felt like a slow punch to the chest. What made it worse was the doubt still gnawing at me. I hadn't seen enough to be sure. And then came the day that tore the whole thing open. It was a Saturday. Emily told me she had another work brunch. Same excuse, different day. But the way she got ready, it was too familiar. The same glowing skin, flawless makeup, dress that hugged her figure a little too perfectly for a casual outing with colleagues. This time I wasn't staying behind. As soon as she left, I grabbed my keys and followed her. I know how it sounds, like I was spying. But at this point, I needed to stop wondering and start knowing. I stayed back far enough not to be noticed, every mile tightening the knot in my chest. She didn't head toward downtown or any brunch spot I recognized. Instead, she drove to a quiet park tucked away on the outskirts of town, a place we'd never been to together. I pulled into a nearby lot and watched. Not 5 minutes later, Tyler's truck pulled in beside hers. They met near a picnic table, smiling, standing too close, their hands brushing as they talked. And in that instant, the truth slammed into me. It was real. All of it. Emily and Tyler were having an affair. Even then, I didn't march over and blow it all up. I needed more. I needed something so undeniable, so solid that she couldn't spin her way out of it. So I waited. And I planned. Over the next few days, I kept calm on the outside, even though inside I was unraveling. Emily was acting like nothing had changed, still putting on her mask, still pretending. And it only made the rage burn hotter. Then she told me she'd be working late Thursday, some big client coming in from out of town. I played along, supportive as ever, even offered to pick her up. She declined, of course. Said she'd get a ride with someone from the office. I didn't argue. That was exactly what I needed. Thursday came. I told her I'd be working late too, at a different job site across the city. She kissed me goodbye like everything was fine. And the second she was out the door, I moved. I parked a few blocks away and waited, heart hammering in my chest. Half an hour later, Tyler's truck rolled up, right on cue. He didn't hesitate. Walked straight into the backyard like he belonged there. I gave it a few minutes, then slipped through the side gate. My hands were shaking. I kept low, moving quiet. The closer I got to the garden, the more I wished I was wrong. But there they were. Emily and Tyler on our bench. The bench I built. Laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. Her hand resting on his knee. His leaning in close to whisper something that made her laugh even harder. And then it happened, his hand slid up her thigh. She didn't flinch. She leaned in closer. I had my phone in my pocket. I pulled it out, screen ready, but I couldn't bring myself to take the shot. I just watched, frozen. Like I was outside my own body, watching someone else's life crumble. Then Emily whispered something in his ear, and he stood up, pulling her by the hand toward the far end of the yard, toward the gazebo I built for her birthday. I stayed in the shadows, silent. They stopped just short of the entrance. She turned and he kissed her. Not just a kiss, a deep, hungry kiss that said everything I'd been afraid of. And in that moment it was like the air left my lungs. Like everything I'd known, everything I'd trusted, shattered into pieces too small to ever put back together. My phone was already recording when it all happened. The kiss, the way she leaned into him like he was the only person in the world, the way their bodies fit together like they'd done it a dozen times before. Every second of it, captured. I had the evidence I needed right there in my palm. But I didn't burst out from the bushes in a blaze of fury. No, I wanted the moment to hit them like a freight train. I wanted them to feel a fraction of the devastation boiling in my chest. So I slipped away quietly, unnoticed, and made my way back toward the house. I knew they'd be coming in soon. I was going to be waiting. By the time I got inside, my hands were trembling so badly I could hardly keep my grip on the phone. Watching Emily like that, wrapped up in Tyler, the guy who used to smile and shake my hand, it was like watching my entire life collapse in on itself. 10 years of love, trust, and loyalty, gone in a breath. And Tyler? The man who trimmed my hedges, smiled at my jokes, he was nothing but a liar. Still, I knew I had to hold it together a little longer. The timing had to be right. I checked the video again just to be sure. It was all there, the kiss, her leaning in, the way they touched. I didn't need to guess anymore. I had proof. Now it was just a matter of waiting. The sun had dipped low and the temperature dropped with it. After about 10 minutes, I heard the soft click of the sliding door open behind me. I stayed in the hallway out of sight, listening. Their voices floated in from the kitchen. Quiet. Intimate. Emily was laughing. Laughing. I clenched my fist. Do you think he suspects anything? Tyler's voice asked, light and amused. No, Emily replied like she was talking about some harmless prank. He hasn't got a clue. I've been keeping things under control. Keeping things under control. Tyler let out a soft laugh. I should probably head out before he gets back, huh? No need to tempt fate. Then came her footsteps moving toward him. Just stay a little longer, she said, all soft and sweet. He's working late. We're fine. That was it. That was the moment. I stepped into the kitchen, each heartbeat slamming in my ears. Emily turned first, her whole body freezing like she'd seen a ghost. Tyler took a half step back, his eyes darting like a trapped animal. David, she gasped, stumbling over the name. I thought weren't you supposed to be at work? I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at them, really looked. The two people who had destroyed the foundation of everything I believed in. Tyler looked ready to bolt. Emily looked like her mask had cracked straight down the middle. Yeah, I said after a long silence, my voice low and steady. Thought I'd swing home a little early. Guess I picked the right night. Emily's face went pale. It's not what it looks like, she said quickly, her voice trembling. We were talking. I let out a slow, bitter laugh, pulling out my phone and holding it up. Talking? I tapped the screen to play the recording. Is this your idea of a conversation? Her jaw dropped as the footage played. The sound of their laughter, the kiss, the way she looked at him like I never existed. Tyler didn't say a word. His face turned to stone, the color draining out of it like he was watching his own funeral. David, please let me explain, Emily tried again, stepping toward me. Explain what? I snapped. How long has this been happening behind my back? Do you think I've been blind? Tyler finally cleared his throat and took a hesitant step forward. Hey man. Look, it's not what we meant for it to be. It just kind of happened. I turned to him, something cold and sharp settling in my chest. It just happened? You mean you just stumbled into my wife's arms? In my house? In my backyard? Tyler's eyes flicked nervously to Emily. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I stepped forward. You didn't mean for it? Or you just didn't expect to get caught? Emily jumped between us, her hands up, panic etched into every line of her face. Please, David, don't do anything crazy. This doesn't have to get worse. I could feel everything boiling up inside me, but I didn't explode. Not yet. I wasn't done. This was only the beginning. Emily stood there between us trying to play the peacekeeper. But it was too late for peace. Step aside, Emily, I said, my voice flat, unfamiliar even to myself. You've made your choice. Now I'm going to make mine. David, please just listen, Emily started, stepping toward me like her words could undo everything. But I didn't want to hear another syllable come out of her mouth. I moved right past her, my eyes locked on Tyler. He wasn't smirking anymore. He looked like a kid caught stealing, hands raised like that would stop the storm coming his way. You think you're just gonna walk out of here like nothing happened? I said, my voice low but sharp as a blade. I stepped closer and he backed up instinctively, panic written all over his face. How long, Tyler? How long have you two been sneaking around behind my back? His mouth opened and closed like he couldn't decide on a lie. David, man, I didn't plan for this. Didn't plan for what? To get involved with my wife. I was yelling now, the fury spilling out of me, bouncing off the walls like gunfire. How long, Tyler? Give me the truth. Emily tried to speak, stepping toward us again, her voice trembling. David, it's not what you think. Please, we didn't mean. I spun to face her, rage flashing through me like a lightning strike. Didn't mean to hurt me? Are you serious right now? You really expect me to buy that? I held up my phone again, thrusting the screen toward her face. This is what you call not hurting me? Just some backyard chat? Her face drained of color as the video played. She didn't try to deny it this time. The tears started to fall, and for a split second I thought she might finally come clean. It wasn't supposed to get this far, she whispered, barely audible. I never meant for it to happen. I swear. I let out a broken, bitter laugh. Not supposed to go this far? I repeated, each word heavy with disbelief. It already went too far. You've been lying to me, hiding this, while I've been killing myself to give you everything you ever asked for. Tyler had edged toward the door, probably hoping to disappear without a scene. But I wasn't done. Where do you think you're going? I barked, stepping into his path. You don't just get to run away from this. Look, I'm sorry, man, he mumbled, eyes darting like he was searching for an escape route. It just happened. We didn't plan it. All right. You just tripped into my wife's arms? Just happened to fall into each other? I shot back, my voice dripping with fury. How many times, Tyler? How long have you been doing this? He hesitated, eyes flicking to Emily, but I wasn't letting either of them off easy. Answer me. I roared, fists clenched so tightly my knuckles went white. Tyler flinched, then finally muttered, "It's been a few months. It started a few months ago." And just like that, something inside me cracked. While I was out working late, fixing up our home, trying to build a future, this was what had been going on behind my back. It felt like someone had reached inside my chest and ripped my heart clean out. Emily broke down then, the tears pouring out like a flood. "David, I'm sorry. I swear, I never wanted it to end like this." "But it did, Emily," I said, my voice cold and final. "You made that choice. You let it happen." There was nothing left to talk about. The truth had been dragged into the light, and everything we'd built was falling apart right in front of me. I took a breath, steadying myself as the last thread of patience snapped. "Tyler," I said, calm now but deadly serious, "get out of my house. Right now." He didn't argue. He grabbed his jacket off the counter and practically bolted through the front door, not even sparing Emily a glance. And just like that he was gone. But Emily, she was still here. And now, I had to face the ruins of our marriage, with nothing left but silence and betrayal between us. What was I supposed to do now? After Tyler slammed the door behind him, the quiet inside the house was deafening. Emily stood there, crying in the middle of the kitchen, her face streaked with tears, but I felt nothing. No pity. No softness. Just a deep, hollow ache where love used to be. She stepped toward me, her voice shaking. "David, please? I know I messed up. I know you're hurting. But we need to talk, please." I stared at her, trying to understand how the woman I had trusted with my entire life could have done this. She looked like a stranger to me now. "Talk," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "What exactly is there left to say, Emily? You've been lying for months. You've broken everything." She wiped at her tears, trying to collect herself, but her voice trembled with desperation. "I know I've made a mistake. I know I hurt you. But this doesn't have to be the end, David. We can work through this. We can fix it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Fix it?" I cut her off, my voice rising. "You've been sleeping with someone else, and now you want to sit here and talk about patching things up? Like this is just a rough patch." Emily winced at my tone but didn't stop. She kept pressing like she could still control the damage. "I never planned for this to happen. We just got close and things got carried away. But it didn't mean anything. You have to believe that." Something inside me broke then. "Didn't mean anything?" I repeated, my voice low and cold. "You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around, pretending everything was normal. You looked me in the eyes every day and told me nothing was wrong. And now you expect me to believe it didn't mean anything?" She sobbed harder, her face buried in her hands. I was confused. I felt like we were drifting apart and I didn't know how to handle it. "It wasn't about you, David, it was about me." I stared at her, my heart pounding. "Don't you dare put this on us, drifting apart. I've been here. I've been working my tail off trying to give you everything you said you wanted. And while I was doing that, you were out there with him." My voice cracked, but I didn't care. "How many times, Emily? How many times did you lie to me?" She looked down, silent. I waited. "I don't know," she whispered. I froze. "You don't know?" I echoed, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "You can't even remember how many times you betrayed me?" She dropped to the floor then, her body shaking as the sobs overwhelmed her. I should have felt something in that moment, grief, anger, even pity, but there was nothing. Just a heavy, hollow emptiness inside me. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, staring at the person I once would have done anything for. The person I thought I'd grow old with. And now all I saw was a stranger. "I can't do this," I said finally, my voice calmer now but firm. "I can't stay in this house, not with you. I can't pretend like any of this can be repaired." Emily looked up at me, fear and desperation filling her eyes. "No, David, please. We can go to counseling. We can work through it. I still love you." But the words didn't touch me. I couldn't even process them. "I don't know what love means to you," I said, shaking my head. "But what you did, that's not love. That's betrayal." She stumbled to her feet, reaching for me, but I stepped away. "Please don't leave. Don't walk away. We've made it through so much together. This doesn't have to be the end." But I knew deep down it already was. "I need space," I said, my voice distant. "I'm leaving tonight. I don't know where I'll go, but I can't stay here." She broke down again as I grabbed my keys and walked toward the door. I didn't turn back. I couldn't. Because if I did, I might fall apart all over again. The cold air hit me the second I stepped outside. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe. The weight of it all was still there, pressing down on me, but at least I was moving. At least I wasn't frozen anymore. I drove for what seemed like hours, my thoughts spiraling the entire time. I replayed every warning sign I'd missed, every lie I brushed off, every moment that suddenly made sense now that it was too late. Emily's new interest in the garden, the late nights, Tyler's casual smirks. It was all there the whole time. I just didn't want to see it. Eventually, I pulled into the lot of a cheap motel off the highway, the kind of place where no one asks questions. I didn't care about the room or the smell or the faded wallpaper. I just needed somewhere to be alone. I dropped my bag on the bed and sat down, staring at the cracked ceiling above me. The silence was suffocating, and in it, the truth came crashing down like a wave. The woman I loved, the one I built a life with, had been lying to me. And not just lying, she had shared parts of herself with another man. A man I had trusted. Invited into my home. Tyler had betrayed me. Emily had destroyed me. And now, I had to figure out what came next. My chest tightened, and a wave of anger and heartbreak hit me like a freight train. It was raw, heavier than anything I'd ever felt. I wanted to break something, scream at the top of my lungs, just let it out. But instead, I just lay there in that dim motel room, staring up at the ceiling, letting the weight of everything settle on me. I grabbed my phone, hoping for some distraction, but it only made things worse. There they were, Emily's missed calls, her texts begging me to come back to just talk. But what was there to say? What could she possibly say to make any of this hurt less? I put the phone down and sat up, my hands raking through my hair as I tried to gather my thoughts. I felt like I was coming undone, like the foundation I'd built my whole life on was cracking beneath me. How do you rebuild after something like that? How do you find your footing when the one person you trusted most is the one who tore it all apart? I must have sat there for hours, lost in memories and questions I couldn't answer. Eventually, exhaustion won. I stretched out on the stiff bed and let my mind drift into a restless, dreamless haze. The next morning, more messages waited for me. I didn't even bother opening them. They were all the same, apologies, promises, pleas. But I wasn't ready to face her. I wasn't even sure if I ever could. Instead, I did the only thing that felt right. I called my brother, Josh. We hadn't talked much lately, but in that moment, I needed someone who knew me. Someone real. He answered almost immediately. David? You okay? You sound off. I exhaled, shaky. I need to talk to you, man. It's about Emily. He was quiet for a beat. What happened? And then it all came out. The late nights. The lies. The garden. Tyler. The video. Every ugly detail. He didn't interrupt once. Just listened. When I finished, he finally spoke, voice low and heavy. Man, I don't even know what to say. That's unreal. Yeah, I muttered. Feels like I've been living someone else's life. You need a place to land? He asked gently. You can crash here. You don't need to be in that house right now. I hadn't even thought that far ahead, but the thought of staying in that motel again made me feel sick. Yeah, maybe. I just need a minute to think. You take your time. My door's open, all right? We hung up, and for the first time since that night, I didn't feel completely alone. I grabbed my bag, my jacket, and didn't even glance at the screen lighting up with more of Emily's messages. I wasn't ready to face her, not now. What came next? I had no idea. But I knew one thing for sure, nothing would ever be the same. It's been 6 months since that night, since I walked out of my house, away from my marriage, and into a world I didn't recognize anymore. Funny how life works. One moment you think you've got it all figured out, and the next it's like the rug's pulled out from under you. The first few weeks were brutal. I stayed with Josh in his tiny place. He gave me his couch, his fridge, and whatever time I needed. We talked. We drank. Some nights, I just sat in silence, trying to understand how everything had unraveled so fast. Emily kept reaching out. Texts, calls, voicemails filled with guilt, explanations, promises. There were moments, weak ones, when I almost replied. When I almost gave her the benefit of the doubt. But then I'd remember that day in the garden. The look in her eyes. The way she lied to my face without flinching. I knew I couldn't go back. Eventually, I stopped checking my phone altogether. I had to shut it out if I wanted to heal. After drifting through those first weeks, I realized I couldn't live in limbo anymore. I found a small apartment on the other side of town, nothing fancy, but it was mine. A place to start over. It wasn't easy. Being alone after 10 years isn't something you just snap into. But I made it work. Got back into my routine. Focused on work. Hit the gym again. Simple stuff. But that simplicity helped. Emily faded from my thoughts. Not completely, but enough that she didn't control my every emotion anymore. I stopped analyzing every moment. I stopped blaming myself. I even started going out. Nothing serious, just small steps. A beer here. A walk there. A few new friendships. I wasn't ready for anything more, not yet. But for the first time in a long while, I felt like I could breathe again. No lies. No secrets. Just quiet. Just peace. As for Emily, I still hear bits and pieces about her now and then. Josh keeps in contact with a few people we used to hang out with, mutual friends from the old days. From what they say, she's not doing all that well. I guess I should feel something about that. Sympathy, maybe. But I don't. It's not hate, I think I'm past that. Honestly, I just don't have the energy to hold on to any of it anymore. Whatever pain she's feeling now, whatever regrets she's carrying, that's on her. She made her choices. I've heard she's been reaching out to people, bringing up old memories, telling anyone who'll listen how she wishes she could go back and undo the damage. Sounds like reality finally caught up with her. But it doesn't change anything. Some things, once broken, can't be put back together. And Tyler? He vanished not long after I walked away. Word is, whatever they had fell apart pretty quick. No surprise there. A guy who was willing to sneak around with another man's wife probably wasn't built for anything real in the first place. I don't spend time thinking about him. He's just part of a chapter I've closed for good. These days, I wake up to something I haven't felt in years: peace. There's no more knot in my stomach, no more guessing, no more looking over my shoulder. It's just me. And for once, that's not a lonely thought. It's a free one. I don't have a roadmap for the future, but I've stopped needing one. Life doesn't always turn out the way you picture it, but maybe that's the point. Sometimes the things that break you are the same things that push you forward. I've moved on. Emily, from what I hear, is still stuck, clinging to memories, trapped in her own guilt. But that's hers to carry, not mine. As for me, I'm just living my life, one quiet morning at a time. And you know what? I feel better than I have in a very long time. I'm not sure what comes next, but I'm not afraid of it. For the first time, I'm ready.